Protesters and the police face off in Bogotá as demonstrations against government-proposed tax reforms turn violent. Rocks were hurled at the police, who responded with flashbangs and tear gas. The protests here and in a dozen other cities drew some of the biggest crowds since the start of the pandemic. That's despite attempts by the government to dissuade the protesters and a court order to postpone the demonstrations due to a rise in COVID-19 infections.
I think the tribunal's decision further angered people to come out. We're dealing with the worst government proposals in decades. People are hungry and desperate for help, not more taxes.
The reform proposed by President Iván Duque's government would raise taxes paid by people and businesses, including the tax on basic food items that were so far exempt. It would tax middle-class pensions, utility bills, and even funerary services. The government is hoping to raise the country's gross domestic product by 2%. It says it would otherwise have to cut public spending and could lose its international debt rating. But the proposal has triggered an angry response, with people already facing economic hardships due to the pandemic.
We're in the middle of a pandemic with the majority of Colombians unable to stay home because they live hand to mouth. They eat eggs with rice and now they want to tax the eggs. This tax reform is miserable.
Anger at the social and economic policies of President Iván Duque has been simmering throughout the pandemic. There were major protests in 2019 against the increasing killings of community leaders and the delay in the implementation of the 2016 peace deal with FARC rebels. On Wednesday, things also turned violent in Colombia's third city, Cali, where some protesters burned buses and looted stores. Members of an indigenous tribe tore down the statue of a Spanish colonial conquistador. The clashes show just how exasperated people are after more than a year into a pandemic that have deeply affected the economy here. The turnout was way higher than any of the organizers had expected, and many people are now wondering if this will be the beginning of a new season of social upheaval in the country. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera, Bogotá.